Hey everybody, welcome back to Wallet Reset. In this video, I'm going to show you how to never miss a deadline ever again. Alright, so starting here, right now, you are probably struggling with finishing things on time, or maybe even just not finishing at all, missing deadlines, and ultimately I want to help you solve that problem. So first thing I'll tell you is this. For me, this was something that I had a consistent problem with, and even at times I'll still kind of like fall back into this. This is one of these things that it's difficult to master. And when I master this is going to be an amazing thing. But essentially, what I'm going to teach you about is how to make sure that you finish things on time or even early. All right, so I would like to tell you about Parkinson's law. All right, so Parkinson's law is, maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe some of you haven't, but essentially Parkinson's law is really just a way to make sure that you understand what you are likely to do when you give yourself more time to finish something. So most people, what they'll do is, depending on who they are, they may set a date and say, they may have a date for like a project to be finished or have something they want to have done by, and then they start working. And then as they get closer to the deadline, they start to chug along even faster, even harder. And then some people, right, if you're a procrastinator by nature, someone like me, I had super duper hard time with procrastination, but what I would do is I would get a project, or I would start a project and be like, okay, I'm going to have it done by this day. And then I would wait to start. Or I would start a little bit, get really good that first day, get that good head start, and then just die out, right? And then the next thing I know, I've got like a week and I've got a ridiculous amount of work to do. And so I'm like struggling and fighting to get all of this stuff done. Now, here's the cool thing, right, about Parkinson's law. And before I go into what the cool thing is, let me just tell you what it actually is. So Parkinson's law says that any amount of time that you give yourself to finish something, you will fill. So if you say, okay, well, I've got 3 months to do this project, it's going to take you 3 months to finish. If you say I've got a month, it's going to take you a month. If you say I've got a week, it's going to take you a week. Now, here's the interesting part about it is that no matter who you are, people tend to do their best work when there is a time crunch. A lot of people tend to put so much focus and so much effort into doing the work when it's at the end, so they work like monsters. They work like they're addicted to it. And they work focused, they don't let anything get in the way, they don't stop doing it. And ultimately, this is something that I've learned actually to help myself with. For the most part, what I'll do is I give myself blocks of time, right? And I use Pareto's principle, right? The Pareto clock, or I just use the principle of Pareto to get ahead of myself. So what I do is instead of taking a week to finish something that could take a week, I give myself 3 days a day, 4 weeks, something like that. And I really just say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to break it up. And I break it up into small individual chunks, and then I attack each chunk and I give myself small breaks in between. This helps me to make sure that I give 100% of my focus to each task as I'm doing the task. It also makes sure that I'm done, because instead of having 7 days to finish, now I only have 4, right? So I'm going to work, and I don't have this big, huge gap to say, okay, well, I've got plenty of time. I've only got a small amount of time. So I work best because I have a small amount of time. I've broken it up into small chunks of time that I'm going to work in. And I actually reward myself for finishing earlier on occasion. I don't always do it because it's important not to reward yourself 100% of the time. And I'll tell you about that in another video. But I give myself rewards on occasion when I finish something early. So you can actually use Parkinson's Parkinson's law to make sure that you finish things in a timely manner, to make sure that you're done early with projects that need to be complete quickly. All right. So how you would do that is you take the amount of time that you have, you shrink it down, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to work on this for this much time, period. I'm done at this time, no matter what. And then you break down each step of the project so that you can say, okay, well, day one or hour one or however long you have, right? You cut that into those many parts so that you're consistently working, right? And you're consistently giving yourself time frames to finish something by, so that you have what they call milestones, right? Now, some of you are probably familiar with hitting milestones, stuff like that for work. But if you are not, a milestone is essentially like a small goal within your project, or a small, a task to say, okay, well, we're going to hit this by this point so that we can make sure that we're on time. We have a good chance of being on time. So, what do you guys think about Parkinson's law? Have you heard about it? If you haven't heard about it, what do you think you're going to do to use this strategy? How do you think you can implement this strategy in your life? And what's the thing that you typically hold back on getting started with? So anyway, this has been Mike Malbrough. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.